Dr. Petty here. I said I'd make this video, so here it is. And we're going to cover the fourth project of Microsoft Word. Okay, so as of all these projects, as you can see here, the first thing we need to do is we need to rename this project. So I'm going to come over here to File, Save As. I'm going to save this one to my desktop just to make it a little easier to find. And if you have something that looks like where you got parentheses and one here, delete all of that. And really what I just want to see is the 2 after my name, and I'm going to click Save. Now, if you're getting errors where you're trying to upload your file and you're getting the file name does not match, just you got to double check that name that you just saved. Sometimes up here what happens is you'll push the 2, but maybe you'll hit the space bar and do an extra space. This is going to mess it up, so try not to do that. All right, so let's go ahead and just go through these. I'll be reading through the instructions. You can follow along. They're just downloaded with the assignment. The instruction here says you are the manager of a cadet bank branch in Middleton, Wisconsin, and are creating a draft of a sales proposal describing the bank's digital banking services. Expand the character spacing of the digital banking text by 1 point to make the title more distinctive. So here's the digital banking text. And we want to make this look a little bit nicer. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here to my font group over here in this area. I'm going to actually open up the main menu. And here you'll see when I click this, I have advanced. Okay, so here you have spacing. This is where we're going to be. There's also text effects down here, so you can do different text effects. But we're going to be up here in this menu. And you can see right now by default that this is set to condensed, which is kind of pushing these words together. And it provides us with a display of what it's going to look like when it's finished. So here I'm going to call this expanded. And as you can see, when I do expanded, it expands the text, makes it look a little bit better. And we have a demo now of what it's going to be over here. Now, what we need to also do is we hit expanded, but we also need to bump up 1 to 1 point. We want to make this a little bit more wider than what is set by default. So once you do that, you're going to go ahead and click OK, and that's going to update, and you're going to see that those letters are now further apart. So step number 2 says delete the page break on the extra paragraph mark at the bottom of page 1 so that the online banking heading appears directly after the picture. So you really can't see a page break unless you activate the non-printable formatting marks, which are located right over here in the paragraph group. So if I were to select this, you can see that there's my page break. And here's that blank paragraph they're referring to. If you remember from our lessons, anytime that the return key is hit, a new paragraph is technically created. I'm just going to put my insertion point after the page break and just left click, and we're good. So let's just make sure that we didn't have to remove the extra paragraph in here. So it says delete the page break and the extra paragraph mark. So we also want to remove this as well. Okay, so we see that. I'm going to go ahead and turn these off just to make this a little cleaner. Very well, very good. And let's go ahead and move on. Let's see. So step number 3, format the text all day access in small caps to match the formatting of the other list items on the page. So here's all day access. Now notice it is different than what these look like, right? These all look like they're in a different font. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just select one of these here because I want to copy the formatting. And notice there's like this little paintbrush tool that says painter. Actually, no, I don't see that tool. I'm gonna have to come over here to the format painter. All right, so I'm not sure if that tool does the same thing. I don't want to play with that right now, but what I want to do is copy the formatting from here and apply it up here without having to go through and figure out what it was they did. So here I'm just going to select format painter, and then I'm going to select this bullet point. And notice when I select it and let it go, the format painter deselects, and we get something quite what I didn't want there. Let's go ahead and fix that. Let me undo that. Let's go for the title. I'm going to go ahead and grab the title real quick. I didn't mean to grab the entire paragraph. And there we go. Okay. So we changed it to what it needed to be. So format the text all day access in small caps to match the formatting of the other list items on the page. So I just copied the formatting. Now there's another way to do this. So let's just say if I undid this real fast and that we're back here at this again. I could, if I didn't know what this was, I could go into paragraph and I could come over here into, font group. And I could come over here to font and you'll see that there is a small caps option here. And if I click it, you can see how that updates the font and then that updates that step. So there are two different ways you can do it. You can apply the formatting from one of these other areas, or you could just go and directly do it. But sometimes if you don't know, it's a little bit harder. So step number 4 says change the bullet character in the list on page 1 to add a picture using the support file that we downloaded to coordinate with the other lists in the document. All right, so here we have these bullets. And we want our bullets to kind of coordinate with what else is going on in this document. So if I select these, I'm going to select this bulleted list here. I'm going to come over here to the bullet list like this. And I'm going to define, actually I'm going to come to this one here, sorry. This one on the left here. Make sure you're not on this one. I'm going to click on this one. And I'm going to define a new bullet. Now, here I could just select symbols, pictures, fonts. I'm going to select picture. I'm going to select, picture, and I want to grab it from a file, and that file is going to be where I downloaded it. So there it is, the support document that you see here, and I'm going to click insert. It gives me a preview of what that looks like once I do that. So if I click OK, those are now going to be updated to check marks instead of little bullet points. Okay, so for the next step, it says on page 2, so we're going to go to page 2, increase the indent of the 4 list items beginning with Touch ID, so right down here, and ending with device registration. So suppose I really want these items to be underneath this paragraph or this bullet. So to do this, if I come over here to increase indent and I do this, you'll notice that as I do this, this is increased and the bullet changes, right? So you can see that it becomes a different bullet. And now we have easy to sign in options, e-payments, and we have the correct bullet organization there as well. Okay, so so the step there was to increase the indent for the list of items. So the 4 list items ending in device registration by 1 level. Decrease the indent of the text banking list item by 1 level to apply a more logical organization to the list. So in this case, we're going to decrease the indent of text banking. So let's find text banking. So here we go. This is one that they want us to change. So in this case, what we're going to do is move this over to the left. Now see how I did that. You notice as I move my indent, it automatically changes the bullet level and then changes it to that updated check mark. So step number 6 says apply the color ice blue accent 1 darker 50% to the bullets for the 2nd level list items in the mobile banking section. So let's look at the mobile banking section. So that's all of these items right here in this section. So what we want to do is we want to go ahead and highlight these again. We're going to define another new bullet. So to do that, I'm going to select this drop down and we're going to define a new bullet. Now here you'll see there's we have some options here, but what we really want to do is adjust the color of this bullet. So we're going to keep it what it is right now, this default here. But I'm going to come over here to font color and we're going to find ice blue darker 50%. So ice blue accent 1, 25, ice blue darker 50%. I'm going to go ahead and click OK. And then I'm going to go ahead, oops, I don't want to do that. I'm going to go ahead and click OK again. And it's difficult to see, but it does update that bullet. So I'm going to go ahead and apply it. And if I look over here, if I did this correctly, I should see the other bullet. You can kind of see a subtle difference between the black bullet that they have here versus this new one that we created with the color. All right, so I applied that to both of these. And again, once I created that over here, I can apply it down here as well, because I could just call on that, oops, that bullet as such. Okay, let's go ahead and move on. Step number 7 says apply a right indent of 1/2 inch to the list in mobile banking. So let's go to mobile banking. It says apply a right indent to the list in the mobile banking section to use the same formatting as the list on page 1. So let's take a look what's going on page 1. As you notice, they've kind of got everything condensed to where things aren't going out this way. See how everything kind of stops right here? That's because there's a formatting. If I go to my View tab and turn on my ruler, you'll probably see where there's, if I go into this list, where there's an indent set 1 inch outside that page. So if I click here, you'll see it as well. There's the indent. It's showing me that that's where it's set. That is what that little triangle is. So we need to copy that over here. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's go down to the mobile banking. I'm going to go ahead and select this area here. So it says in the instruction to apply a right indent to the list in the mobile banking section. So what I'm going to come over here to do now is click on the Home tab. I'm going to click on Paragraph. And I'm going to go over here. There's an indentation, but what we want is a right indentation, not a left indentation. So I'm going to get rid of this and increase this by 0.5. Let me try that one where I get rid of the left indent. Okay. I'm going to click OK. And we look up here. Does not look like what they did. Let me do this real quick. I'm going to go ahead and go back to Paragraph, and we're going to go ahead and add that left indent back in. Maybe perhaps they did not want us to remove that. So just leave that left in there, but make sure that you have a right indent to the list in mobile banking. So we have that here. I'm going to click OK, and it's set. Now, if you click on here, you'll see that there's a right indent tab that's stored here as well. So it is here. They just wanted us to add it to the right indent. So you can see when I click in here, my indentation is the same as the list up here as well. So if you did remove the left indent, put it back in there so that your numbers say 1/2 inch, and that should be correct. All right, so the next step says format the list in the sign up section, which is all this. Beginning online banking, which is this here, and ending following the prompts. So they really want us to fix all of this. Follow the prompts to start banking as a multi-level list using the 1A numbering format. All right, so if I come over here, select this. So we're going to use the 1AI. So what this means is that as this list progresses, then you can see as it sublists. If I, for example, were to come over here and hit enter, if I really wanted to do another level, you notice it goes to a 1, and it separates how the characters appear. Except let me undo that real fast. Let me select this again. And this time I'm going to select this list right here. That's what I thought I had selected, 1A1. And yeah, so why this is turning and not going to ABC, that is puzzling. So let's take a look. Why is this doing this? So let's take a look at our multi-level list, and let's see why this is not being treated as the correct header. So let's take a look. List level, list library. I'm going to go ahead and click none and reapply this. Let's see if we can get it come back the way it's supposed to. Strange. For whatever reason, these seem to be tabbed over too much. So perhaps we're going to fix this. All right. Yeah, so it looks like we just need to go back. I just stripped the formatting from this, and I'm going to reapply this to make sure it works. There we go. That's what I was looking for. Not sure what was going on with that, but there you go. So if you ever notice you find yourself with a problem and it's not working, you can always strip away the formatting of something and then re-input to what you need. But this is what it should look like. You should have an online banking number 1 and then number 2 for mobile banking. And if you look at the bottom of your instruction list, I believe what your paper should look like is provided there. So this is identical to what's in the instructions. So I think we're good. Let's go ahead and move on to the next step. So the next step is, all right, so number 9, apply a left indent of 1/2 inch to the paragraph beginning the next time you want, so right here, and ending access your accounts, which is right here. We're going to apply a left indent to this paragraph. So I'm going to select this, again, come to the paragraph, and right here it says apply a left indent. I'm going to just bump this up here to move this over. I'm going to click OK so that it's in alignment with this here. So we did that, and it looks like it's set. So the next time you want, and ending your accounts to align the paragraph with the first list level. So there we go. That is set. So on page 3, so let's go ahead down to page 3. Sort the bulleted paragraphs in the question section in ascending order to make it easier to read. So here what we're going to do is I'm just going to select these, and if you notice there's a sort option above the paragraph group, and if I click it, you can see I can say, how do I want to do this? I can do ascending or descending. I'm going to say ascending. And there you go. It automatically sorts that information in those bullets for you so that it is in ascending order. All right, we've almost got that done. That step is good. All right, so step number 11, change the color of the page numbers to ice blue accent 1, darker 50% to match what's going on in the palette. So here I'm just going to double click into the header to access our page number, and I'm just going to select our page number. And what this is going to do is allow me to change the color. If I come over here to home and then down to the text drop down, I'm going to look for ice blue accent 1, darker 50%, which is right here to kind of match the rest of the document. And I'm going to press enter. Oops, sorry, not enter. Control-Z, get out of there. Okay, so once I do that, I'm just going to select out of here or apply it. Make sure you're not really going to see it until you click out of there, but you should be able to see that it did, in fact, update this. And if it didn't, let me try that one more time. Okay, so it should have updated it. It's just difficult to see. I just want to make sure it's done on my end here. Yeah, it's set. It's just difficult to see. It's going to update for all 3 pages, so you don't have to worry about it only doing the one. Oh, there it is. Now we can see the blue. We can see the blue letters. Okay, perfect. Or blue numbers, sorry. So the next thing is to add the draft 1 text watermark to the document to clarify you are creating a draft for review. Now, if you're on a Mac, you're going to have to insert a watermark, a text watermark, using the draft option, and then change the transparency to 50% and the orientation to diagonal. For us Windows users, that's going to be built in for us. We're not going to have to do that. So we're going to come over here to Design, and you'll see there's a watermark option. So here we're going to choose Draft Watermark with gray. So this looks like the one we need. Draft 1, clarify, yeah. So we're going to grab this one. And it should insert into the page. Maybe I clicked away from it, but you should be able to see the draft right after clicking that. Okay, I think I found what the problem is here. So on my setup, and you may run into this issue as well, under the watermark, I'm going to go ahead and remove this watermark real fast. And yeah, so sometimes this can be a little tricky depending on what version of Word you're using. But if you run into this issue, so what I had to do was I came over here and I clicked draft, and as you can see, it's just not appearing. And for whatever reason, it's just not appearing on my monitor. So to show you that it is actually there, if I were to go home to the home tab. If I were to click go here and you don't need to do this, but as long as you follow that first step, you're fine. If I click custom watermark and I unclick this and click apply, all of a sudden you can start to see where that draft is, which is pretty weird. But for whatever reason, when I select this and hit apply, you can see that it becomes much less noticeable. But when I pass a window over it, it is there. So there seems to be a bug in my program. So following that original step that I showed you earlier should fix that. I'm going to leave this like this, even though mine doesn't say draft on it. It's really funny. If I move this off screen, it appears on the other monitor, but not on this one. So I'm not as sure what is going on with my monitor, so it seems to be a problem with my hardware. But I assure you, the draft is there. As you can see, if I like select or have a window pop up in here, all of a sudden it appears. But it's here on mine. It's just invisible on this monitor. Again, to do that step, you just go to watermark, draft, click draft. It should appear. It's that simple. It's just for my particular system, it is not working the way it should. Okay, so the last step was to insert the cover page. So here we have our cover page. If you followed that from earlier, we did this by coming over here to the Insert tab, and then there's the cover page that we can select here, and then we can insert and put our text in there. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to submit this assignment and see what it grades up to, and then if it's all good, then we won't need to make any corrections. Okay, so I just had this report graded. Let's see what went wrong here. So it looks like I got a 14 out of 15. As you can see, it did pull up the draft. Everything looks fine. It looks like it says that I didn't change the paragraph's indentation for step number 7, which we clearly did do. But let's take a look and see on my document where it dinged me. So it's saying right here that there's no half-inch indent to the right. So when I look at their product, let's see if their product is identical to mine, and did I miss something? So I'm looking at this, and it doesn't look like I missed anything. So let's take a look here at the original document that we submitted and see if we could find the issue. So I'm gonna go back to my desktop, and good Lord, I don't know if I could find anything on here. Okay, so let me go ahead and just sort this by date. Make it easier to find. There it is. Open this back up. So this is the one I submitted, and waiting for this just to open here. And let me go take a look at my product. All right, so I'm looking at this, and here's the mobile banking. Underneath the mobile banking area, we should have had a right indent. So let's take a look and see where it missed. So I'm just going to highlight this list. I wonder if it's because we didn't include this first paragraph right here. So let me go up here and take a look, and I'll go back up to home, and we'll expand the paragraph group, and let's take a look. All right, so it looks like the indentation isn't over here. So it looks like there's an indentation here, but not where it looks like maybe we should have included that one group. So let's see if we can do that. So it doesn't seem to be an indentation on the paragraph under mobile banking. So I'm going to check this again just to be sure that we did in fact do the indentation here. Oh, maybe I didn't include everything. Okay, let's try this again. All right, so I'm going to select these items for under mobile banking. I'm going to come back over to indentation. Yeah, it looks like it's not there. So for whatever reason, it seemed to have disappeared off here. So I'm going to go ahead and put it back on here. So we want a right indentation of 0.5. And I'm going to click OK. There we go. So it looks like that was the step I missed. So I'm going to go ahead and save this. And let's see if that corrected our problem to 100%. So here I'm just going to refresh this screen so I can do another attempt. I'm going to click Start. So I'm going to drag in here. I'm going to do another attempt. I'm going to click open. And I'm going to submit this. And let's see if we fix the problem. So here we go. We got this. And there we are, a 15 out of 15. So we just didn't select one of the rows of text. But if you follow the steps in here, and if you look at what I've got, and if you follow what I've done, you should be able to get a 15 out of 15 out of this assignment. A little bit of rockiness along the way. Sorry for the mishap with my giraffe not working correctly. But this assignment, as you can see, is graded up to 15 out of 15. Go ahead and use it to accomplish your work.